In a recent episode of Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s The Tear Down NASCAR podcast, renowned NASCAR personalities Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi discussed a series of significant rule changes for the 2025 season. The conversation was centered around NASCAR's new Open Exemption Provisional rule. The Open Exemption Provisional, or OEP rule, is a groundbreaking addition to NASCAR's rulebook. This rule allows world-class drivers from other racing series to enter the NASCAR field without the fear of missing the cut. What makes this rule particularly noteworthy is that it permits NASCAR to expand the field beyond the standard 40-car limit to accommodate these guest drivers. Jeff Gluck, a respected journalist from The Athletic, expressed strong criticism of this new rule. He stated, "That's crazy. Come on now, that makes you look less than. I don't think that's good for NASCAR."
That's crazy. Come on now. That makes you look less than. I don't think that's good for NASCAR.
Gluck's concerns stem from the potential implications this rule could have on the sport's integrity and fairness. To illustrate his point, Gluck used the examples of Max Verstappen, the reigning Formula One champion, and NASCAR's own Kyle Larson. He argued that if Verstappen decided to compete in NASCAR, he would be guaranteed a spot thanks to this new rule. However, the same courtesy would not be extended to a NASCAR driver attempting to compete in Formula One. This disparity highlights a potential imbalance in how different racing series approach crossover opportunities.
It's basically saying, it's screaming to Lewis, to Max, to Daniel Ricciardo, please come give us attention from the F1 fans.
The implications of this rule extend beyond just allowing famous drivers to participate. It could significantly impact qualifying procedures and potentially affect the opportunities available to existing NASCAR drivers. The rule raises questions about fairness and merit-based competition, which are cornerstones of professional racing. The timing of this rule change coincides with a major announcement from Trackhouse Racing. The team revealed that renowned IndyCar driver Helio Castroneves will be joining their 2025 Daytona 500 roster piloting the number 91 Cup Series car. This will mark Castroneves' NASCAR Cup Series debut at the Daytona International Speedway. He will be racing alongside Trackhouse Racing's full-time Cup Series drivers Daniel Suarez, Ross Chastain, and Shane Van Gisbergen. Castroneves isn't the only notable addition to the 2025 Daytona 500 lineup. Mike Wallace, a 65-year-old former NASCAR driver, is also set to participate in this iconic race. Wallace will be behind the wheel of the number 66 MBM Motorsports Cup Series car. As of now, a total of 5 open cars have been confirmed for the 2025 Daytona 500: 44 JJ Yaley of NY Racing, 62 Alfredo of Beard Motorsport, 66 Mike Wallace of MBM Motorsports, 78 McLeod of Live Fast Motorsports, 91 Helio Castroneves of Trackhouse Racing. However, the field might grow even larger. Bob Pockrass of Fox Sports has reported that 3 more cars could potentially join the event. Number 15, Rick Ware Racing, its driver is to be announced. 84 Jimmie Johnson of Legacy Motor Club, a ride for former Joe Gibbs racing driver Martin Truex Jr. While these NASCAR developments were unfolding, Dale Earnhardt Jr. found himself caught up in another sporting event that captured his attention. The Washington Commanders, Earnhardt Jr.'s favorite NFL team, secured a playoff win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This victory was particularly significant as it ended an almost 2-decade-long playoff drought for the franchise. The nail-biting NFC wildcard showdown saw the Commanders edge past the Buccaneers with a dramatic 23-20 victory. The game's standout performer was rookie quarterback Jayden Daniels, who threw for 268 yards and made 2 touchdowns. Dale Jr., a longtime supporter of the Commanders, took to social media to express his excitement and reflect on his journey as a fan. He posted on X, "I have been a Washington fan since 1982. It's been a long run, some good, some bad, but it's amazing to be nervous for a playoff game again, and my little girls are growing to love the team. They just might have a lot of fun over the next several years." This tweet not only captured Dale Jr.'s emotional investment in the team, but also highlighted the generational aspect of sports fandom, as he mentioned his daughter's growing love for the Commanders. Interestingly, Dale Jr. wasn't the only NASCAR personality reacting to NFL playoff action. Brad Keselowski, driver for RFK Racing and a Michigan native, joined the conversation with a tweet of his own. "Saya next week at Commanders Go at Lions." This friendly banter between NASCAR drivers about their favorite NFL teams adds an interesting dimension to the motorsport community. Returning to the NASCAR rule changes, the Open Exemption Provisional rule is just one of many significant modifications coming to the sport in 2025. Another major change involves the waiver rule, which has been amended to discourage drivers from participating in other racing series at the expense of NASCAR events. Under the new waiver rule, drivers must not only start all championship events of the current season, but also attempt to complete all of the races. This wording aims to prevent situations where a driver might start a race and then leave to compete in another event, such as the Indianapolis 500.
You have to start all the championship events of the current season. So all races, all points races, but you must, this is new wording, quote, attempt to complete all of the races. So in other words, I think they're trying to make it so, like, if I'm reading it correctly, you can't start the race, get out, and then go run the Indy 500. If there was some sort of conflict, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta be in the car the whole time. You better not leave, or else you need a waiver for that. And okay, so this is the new part.
Moreover, if a driver receives a waiver for missing a playoff race for any reason other than medical issues or age restrictions, they will lose all of their playoff points. This penalty applies not just to the points accumulated so far, but to all playoff points for the entire season. This stringent policy could have a significant impact on drivers like Kyle Larson, who have been known to compete in various racing series. The Damaged Vehicle Policy, or DVP, has also undergone a major overhaul. Previously, if a car sustained crash damage and couldn't be driven back to the pits, or if repairs exceeded the 7-minute damage repair clock, the car was out of the race. The new policy allows cars to go to a designated garage repair area, similar to how repairs are handled in dirt track racing. Under the new DVP, teams have as much time as they need to make repairs. If they attempt repairs on pit road and exceed the 7-minute clock, they're not out of the race but must go to the garage. Once repairs are complete, the car gets one attempt to meet minimum speed before returning to the race. The towing policy has also been adjusted. If a car can't be driven back to the pits, it will be towed to the repair area rather than being eliminated from the race. While this might result in losing several laps, it gives teams a chance to continue competing rather than facing automatic disqualification. NASCAR has also introduced new manufacturer penalties in response to controversies from previous seasons. These penalties can be imposed for violations of testing policies, wind tunnel regulations, roster limits, or the code of conduct. Potential penalties include loss of manufacturer points, reduction in wind tunnel hours, and suspension or ejection of manufacturer representatives. The long-standing 100% rule has been revised as well. The new language focuses on attempts to manipulate the outcome of the race, rather than the previous wording about artificially altering finishing positions. This change aims to clarify NASCAR's stance on race manipulation and provide clearer guidelines for enforcement. Several other minor but noteworthy changes have been implemented. Fines will now be assessed to the team owner organization rather than the crew chief. A new rule states that vehicles purposefully not maintaining reasonable speed as determined by NASCAR will be assessed a tail of the field penalty. This rule aims to prevent strategies like intentional fuel saving during caution periods.
For the race, the new rule says vehicles purposefully not maintaining reasonable speed as determined by NASCAR will be assessed a tail of the field penalty. Now, before, I'm pretty sure if you did not maintain your reasonable speed, you just got where you blended back in, you got that spot. So maybe you lose 3 spots and they say,
Yeah.
you were going to put you 10th or whatever, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
remember
you didn't
Marcus
maintain-
Ambrose at Sonoma? That was the probably the most well-known one.
when he was going up the hill, cut his
Yep.
car off. Yeah. So now they're saying they say purposefully, and I don't know if that was purposefully, but if you're trying to save fuel, basically
That's purposely though. That's the thing. And to me, that's the big thing of this, is that this is where this rule applies. Is so many times drivers will try to save fuel by cutting
you're
off
down
their
on the
engine.
apron, you're going
Yes.
slow.
And sometimes very slow. Greg
Right.
Biffle at Kansas, right? And so this is going to be one of those things where NASCAR is going to have to make a call.
For technical penalties resulting in suspensions, teams can now defer the suspension for one race, allowing for more flexibility in managing personnel. The qualifying format has also been simplified. Most tracks will now use a 1-round, 1-lap qualifying system, with short tracks using a 1-round, 2-lap format. This change eliminates the more complex group qualifying and knockout rounds, returning to a more traditional approach. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel to stay updated on upcoming content.